What's up, everybody, and welcome here to my Premier League predictions for Matchday 13 on this video. So my Premier League predictions begins on Matchday 13 at the G-Tech Stadium as Brentford the Bees, as they will take on against Burnley. Big matchup for both sides. Obviously, Burnley are trying to fight to try and get out of the relegation drop. As of Brentford, they are in a very good, solid position in the top half of the table of the Premier League. In my honest prediction in the game on Matchday 13 between Brentford and Burnley, I'm going to go straight for a victory for Brentford. Brentford obviously have been a good side this season, despite, obviously, I've said a few times about losing their players, losing Thomas Frank, but they've really gelled themselves together, this new Brentford team, and they've been very, very good, especially the guy Thiago, the striker. He will score, I think, on the weekend for Brentford. He has scored a few goals, and he's trying to take after Ivan Toney's reign as their main talisman, or maybe talisman in the future for Brentford. Still early days, I think, and he's not really recognised as massive in the Premier League as a top striker for Brentford. But I think he'll score on the weekend, and I think Brentford win the game over Burnley by 1-0. My Premier League prediction between Man City and Leeds United. There's a lot to play for both sides. Obviously, Leeds lost against Villa last week by 2-1 at the Ellen Road ground, but they do go and play Man City, who also lost last week away from home to Newcastle United. Big game this is, obviously, for City. We know that losing to Newcastle last week, they've got to bounce back now, Man City now, because Arsenal are a few points away from a drift away from Man City in the Premier League table. And we know how big this game will really, really be for Man City. We know, obviously, Erling Haaland, main striker, top striker for Man City. Not really having enough chances to score any goals recently for Man City. And he'll definitely probably will be on the score sheet on the weekend. And I think that City should win this game. I know at Leeds United, of course, had their hits and misses. They had since they returned back to the Premier League. I just said before, wins a couple, drawn a couple, lost a few, and that's why they're in the bottom three for a reason. But in this matchup between City and Leeds, I'm going to go for a 4-0 win, and I think Haaland will score a hat-trick in the game, and I think maybe for Phil Foden, if he's fit enough, he'll be playing in that game on the weekend and score the fourth goal to make Man City win the matchup to Leeds by 4-0. Now we move on to our next game at the Stadium of Light Stadium, as Sunderland will take on against Bournemouth. And I've got to say, these are the top teams out of the top six. Have been absolutely wonderful this season. Sunderland, really challenging at the top half of the table. Really, every game Sunderland have played, it really mattered to them. Every match, it mattered to Sunderland. And they do play Bournemouth as well. Also in the exact same position as Sunderland. Every game this season meant for them. Every matchup, every game, they want to get a result. And Andoni Areola knows how to really punch Bournemouth above their weight in those European places. And it's good to see these two teams have been absolutely terrific. The smaller teams in the Premier League to be fighting in the top 5, top 6 of the Premier League season. But my honest prediction in this matchup at the Stadium of Light Stadium, and since Bournemouth's in good form as well, I do think this game will go down to a draw in this matchup. Sunderland might feel a bit disappointed after losing to Fulham, but however, for obviously Bournemouth, they drew 2-2 last week to West Ham. They might feel a bit bitter not getting 3 points over West Ham United. But in this game over Sunderland and Bournemouth this weekend, I'm going to go for a massive draw. Draw between the two sides, as I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Sunderland 1, Bournemouth 1 as my official prediction between the two sides on Matchday 13. And now we move on now to 5:30 kickoff between Everton and Newcastle. And big game this will be, by the way, for both sides. Newcastle, great win against Man City from last week. However, for Everton, the home team, And big, massive win away from home to Manchester United on Monday Night Football. And Gunnar Gay was on the score sheet. I think it was he got sent off. Sorry, it was actually one of the Bournemouth Everton players. I can't remember his name, but he did score for Everton. Let me look him up right now. Who actually scored, by the way, in that game? It was actually red card happened. It was Gunnar Gay got sent off. It was actually Kieran Drewsbury Hall was on the score sheet. I actually forgot who actually scored that game, but looking it up, of course, on the internet, now I know who scored that wee game on Matchday 12 against Man United. And, you know, Everton done all right this season so far. I know we've known Everton to be that team survives every year away right in the relegation zone and survive at the last 2 or 3 games before the end of the season. But this season under David Moyes, they're really pushing themselves in the top half of the table now, on the exact same points as Liverpool, the exact same points as Man United, and the exact same points as Spurs. As for Newcastle, however, you know, big defeat over Marseille in the Champions League. Aubameyang scored 2 goals for Marseille in the Champions League, obviously on Tuesday night. So they need to try and get back in winning ways. I think they do probably got that way, or they probably might get away with it against Everton on the weekend. I know Everton's a home team. Everton's in good form as well, and then the home team should probably win the matchup. But I do think Newcastle will get a real nudge in that matchup. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Newcastle as my official prediction on Matchday 13. Now my official prediction at the Spurs Stadium. It's Tottenham Hotspur versus Fulham. Big matchup for Tottenham this weekend, and also a big matchup for Fulham also this weekend as well. You know, great game Spurs have had, even though Spurs obviously lost 5-3 to PSG on Wednesday night. But they've been absolutely brilliant, they've been, of course, in terms of really giving PSG a fight in that game. During Sunday's game against my team Arsenal, my mighty team Arsenal, they were crap, they were. The only best thing about Spurs in that matchup, Richarlison scored from the halfway line. The only big thing happened in that game is Richarlison scored from the halfway line. But apart from that, they've been poor. They've been against Arsenal, and Arsenal bullied them in that matchup on Sunday. But they do play Fulham, though, a different type of fish compared to Arsenal, as Fulham obviously did very well by beating Sunderland 1-0 from last weekend. They're now points adrift away from the relegation drop at the moment currently. So they obviously have got a little bit of now form a little bit now away from the drop zone. But Spurs are the home team, and since Spurs are the team who obviously will be at home, and they should definitely win that game on paper over Fulham, I do think I'll do back Spurs at 8 o'clock kickoff on Saturday to get the job done. I think Spurs, despite a few injuries for Tottenham, I think Richarlison will be on the score sheet for Spurs, and I do think that Kulusevski, if he is playing that game, he'll be on the score sheet for Tottenham to make it 2-0. So I am going to go for official prediction 2-0 to Tottenham in the matchup. I'm being nice to Spurs this week. I think Spurs should win this game on paper, and I'm going to go for definitely a 2-0 win for Spurs. Now we move on now to my official prediction for Matchday 13 on Sunday at 12 o'clock kickoff, lunchtime kickoff at Selhurst Park Stadium. It's Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. And Man United, big loss to Everton on Monday by Kieran Drewsbury Hall, only goal in the matchup. And Everton were lucky, even they were down to 10 men. Man United could not pick up a goal over Everton, personally. And we know how important this matchup will really be for United to try and get back in winning ways. They were doing quite well. They were doing amazing, Man United, of course. Even Ruben Almiron won the Manager of the Month and beating Liverpool 2-1, beat Brighton as well, gets wins under their belt as well. And they started to end up, losing the gas a little bit now, and they're losing games now. And they drew to Forest. They drew 2-2 against Spurs, and then obviously, after international break, they lost 1-0 to Everton. So they're now back in losing form now. But Palace obviously are the team at home. They've been the better side compared to Man United this season. Palace have been, let's say, the real underdog so far in the Premiership season. Won the FA Cup last year. Doing okay in the Conference League as well. I do think that Palace will have the big chance, of course, against Man United to get the job done. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Palace. I think Palace Philip Mateta will score the only goal for Palace and Man United will win them the game against Man United on match day 13. I don't see Man United get any goals from that game, I don't think. And I do think Palace have got a lot more about them in this matchup to get the job over the line and win them the game and get 3 points. So I'm going to go for a Palace win, 1-0 against United. Now my official prediction at 2:05 kickoff between Aston Villa and also Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's a Midlands derby match because we know this game is a big game for Wolves because they got a new manager now, new gaffer, Rob Edwards. Last week, they lost. The first game under Rob Edwards, they lost the game 2-0 to Palace at home at Molineux. And I don't think that Wolves will survive now. I don't think Wolves will be anywhere safe now. I think Wolves will be relegated down to the Championship this season. I don't see anywhere back now. Only gained 2 points all season. And Leeds and Burnley, West Ham as well, Fulham, the teams in outside the relegation zone, also in the relegation zone themselves, and Forest as well. And they're only at least now 10, 11 points in the Premiership. And Wolves only got 2 points so far this season. It might be a good game of Midlands rivalry between Villa and Wolves, but I think Villa will definitely win the game. And I'm going to go for a 4-0 win. 4-0 to Aston Villa. Villa will be in form that game. And I don't see anywhere that Wolves will get anything in the matchup. And I think that Villa will win the game 4-0 as my prediction. And now we move on to our next game at the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest versus Brighton. And Forest are now back in winning ways under Sean Dyche. What a win last week. They beat Liverpool 3-0 away from home. That was an absolute magnificent win for Nottingham Forest. And I never ever thought that Forest will actually beat Liverpool 3-0. I predicted last week that Liverpool win that game against Forest 3-0, but it was actually reversed as Forest unexpectedly won 3-0. But Forest love to go to Anfield and win against them before last season, 1-0 when Liverpool were champions that season. But yeah, that momentum, that win right from last week will definitely carry on to this week, I think. And if they do well tonight as well in the Europa League over Malmo as well, and get a win over that game as well over the line, and even get a victory over Brighton, I do think that there's no way that Forest will be anywhere in a relegation drop, I don't think. So, in my honest perspective about this matchup on the game on Sunday, I think that Nottingham Forest will get the win. Brighton, they did beat Brentford 2-1 though. Danny Welbeck on the score sheet again like last week, but I don't think they're going to do it this week. I think that Forest will have enough, I think, to get a win over the line. And they haven't played Chris Wood at all since Dyche joined, in fact, and since these two don't really get on one another. But I do think that Morgan Gibbs-White will be that main man to win them the game at the City Ground. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Forest. Big win at home over Brighton. Another statement for Sean Dyche as manager at the club. Now we move on now to my official prediction between West Ham United and also as well Liverpool. Big game, by the way, between West Ham and also Liverpool, because West Ham United, they've been absolutely great the last 2 weeks, of course, of match days. Beaten Newcastle 2-1, was it 3-1 or 3-2 a few weeks back? And then the following week after that, West Ham United actually beaten another team, Burnley, that was it, Burnley. And then after international break, they drew 2-2 to Bournemouth. And Callum Wilson was absolutely magnificent to score 2 goals over Bournemouth last week. The club he used to play for and made him, of course, in the times he was actually playing for Bournemouth a few years ago now. But in my honest perspective about this game, yeah, since Liverpool, talking about them as well this season, not looking great for Arne Slot. Lost 4-1 to PSV Eindhoven on yesterday's game in the Champions League, and even lost to Forest 3-0 last weekend at home. Massive goals from the away teams. The away teams go to Anfield and they easily can get 3 points now at Anfield. A lot of teams go there now and feel very comfortable to get wins over them. But there's another story for Liverpool, though. They do play West Ham away from home. And West Ham also is in good form as well. They picked up 7 points in the last 3 games. So I think West Ham, I'm being controversial here, I think West Ham win the matchup over Liverpool on the weekend. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. I think Gerald Bowen will score. I think Callum Wilson scored 2 goals against Liverpool in the matchup. And I think Mo Salah might get a goal back in the matchup, but I don't think it'll be enough for Liverpool to try and make it 3-3 or a comeback or anything like that. I think that Nuno Espirito Santo knows what he's trying to do at West Ham United, and I think West Ham will pick up 3 points. 3-1, my prediction. Now we move on now to my next prediction. It's Chelsea versus Arsenal. This is a massive game, this is for us. We have been absolutely bullying teams in the last few weeks. 4-1 to Spurs, 3-1 against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Every game now, we've been winning after winning after winning. Okay, we drew 2 to the Sunderland as well. Maybe Sunderland obviously a top team as well. They've been very good this season. We know how organised they've really been. And they really play like a proper team as well, Sunderland. So I can't write Arsenal off from drawing against Sunderland in that matchup. But we've been absolutely good now. The points now are so high now for Arsenal because we are now 6 points clear from Chelsea in second place. And we've got to play them on the weekend away from home there at Stamford Bridge. But bear it in mind, Chelsea are in good form also as well. 3-0 to Barcelona on Tuesday. 2-0 to obviously against Burnley last week. I apologise as well. And they actually picked up a loss as well over Sunderland. That was the only loss they had this season. They lost to Sunderland 2-1. The last game they've lost to. But Chelsea's still in good form though. Chelsea have been good, and they've got their players fit as well. It will be a tough game though. It won't be easy. If we win that game at Stamford Bridge on Sunday, that'll be it. I think Arsenal will go win the Premier League title. Very comfortable, I think, if we beat Chelsea, obviously away from home, because that will be 9 points from Man City and also, 9 points from Chelsea. And also, it will only be at least 7 points from Man City. That will probably mean that we are definitely looking for a title run, I think, from now until May. So I'm not saying it's too early. I'm not saying, we'll win the league. I think we probably will do if we beat Chelsea on Sunday. Be likely a possibility. But since Arsenal are Arsenal and Arsenal players might get it in their heads a little bit, oh my God, we're 6 points clear from Chelsea. Oh my God, we're miles away from Chelsea. But that might get in our players' heads a little bit. And even we've got a few injuries as well, might really play a part. We are nearly close now for a massive injury crisis at Arsenal. So we got to really take caution about these matches coming up as well till Christmas. But bear it in mind, how I look at it, I do think Arsenal will draw to Chelsea. I'm not saying it because I'm Arsenal fan. I love Arsenal. I've got to be very not biased about this game because Chelsea could even turn up and get something out of this matchup. And I think they probably will do. I do think that we'll draw the game, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, 1-1. I think that Cole Palmer will get on the score sheet for Chelsea, and I think, hopefully, Gabriel, a corner, cross in the box, Gabriel heads it, goal for Arsenal, and then we end up drawing over Chelsea, and then that'll be at the end of the game. So, and we get 30 points within the end of November. That'll be brilliant. It will be for us. So, I think personally this game will come down to a draw. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between Arsenal and also Chelsea on Sunday. That'll be it for my official predictions on TGI Football for Matchday 13 of the Premier League. If you like these videos, if you like all of my content as well every week, go and give me a subscribe. There's not long now till Christmas. Not long now till halfway through the season. So, that'll be it for the whole of Matchday 13 of the Premiership. And I'll see you on the next predictions of the Premiership for next week. But until then, have a good one.